Another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're on season 5, episode 26. Andy, tonight's the sports edition. Today is May 6th, 2024. Lots going on, right?
Yes. We got hockey playoffs are hitting their stride now. They're in the second round. WNBA's got their preseason going. NBA has their playoffs going. NASCAR's hot and heavy. Had the Kentucky Derby, the horsey race the other day. Baseball's baseball. They're getting going, A
lot of overlap, a lot of sports, a lot of things going on. And in the middle of baseball, high school varsity, there's proms going on the weekends. Lots of things happening here.
College ball's kicking off with the conference games now.
Spring formals and whatnot, the Kentucky Derby, NASCAR. And so we've got a lot to cover tonight. Let's start off with the trivia.
Spring is in the air for a young man's fancy, as they say, something like that.
As they say, yes. So the trivia question tonight, Andy, relates to something that took place on this day in 1915. So a lot of the younger listeners won't get that, or the older listeners.
Can I call Coach Mike for help on this question?
That'd be a tough one, but Babe Ruth did something on this day in 1915. In fact, he did two things. Now, after the game was over, he could have done many more things, so we don't know what he did after that. But during the game, he did two things on this day in 1915. And I'm not going to give any more hints.
Chattel was your stereotypical got thrown out type situation.
Yeah, it's a kind of a typical thing. Keep in mind, he was playing for the Red Sox.
Yeah, this was before he was really Babe. Okay.
So, all right, for the Red Sox, 1915, something happened. Two things happened to Babe Ruth on this day in 1915. Now we'll go back into the regular sports. We'll get loaded up here with all the things going on.
We got to have the NFL's got to have their bit. So can't forget about the mighty Shield.
Yes.
There you go, Vikings. There's the future.
Now, who is this?
That is J.J. McCarthy, the future of the team. Their number one draft pick.
Yes. So McCarthy, and getting introduced at Vikings, this is an Egan facility, right? The practice facility.
I can't tell what that can is in his hand, if that's a bottle of water or a
Bud Light.
What the hell that is, but
it's a great photo nonetheless.
Mom, I froed up.
I like that.
And and this isn't a rip on him.
No.
Anyone that could have got caught in the wrong pose at the right time. This was just golden right here.
It just looks like a 6th grade kid in the middle school. It's funny.
Like he missed his bus or he can't find mom at the store or something. I don't know.
It's good. He'll be a good guy. And in fact, I think there'll be lots of comments like this, lots of photo ops with Mr. JJ going forward.
Okay, there was a statement came out from our friends at the Minnesota Myth this week. Said we want to address some rumors circulating on social media and in the media regarding our team. Let us reassure our fans that there never was a question that the Myth wouldn't play. There was rumors going around that after that first week, they were so bad they were going to fold and just be done after 1 week. Well, they came back at home and took care of business, if you will. So
they played at Target Center. They won 47-12 very easily, very handily over the Philadelphia Soul.
But that's how they got schooled the week before. So I thought, they're no good. They're not ready. They're going to be done. They had a bad week after week 1. Get off.
Yeah, that's their first game. That's their first game in franchise history. Yes. So they obviously didn't, they weren't that well versed in. They're playing a team that's been around, I think, for a while, Albany.
Yeah.
But that was also a new team for them, but not the first in the franchise. So the other thing, Andy, I don't know if you're going to touch on this, but one of the teams in the league, I don't know if it was Iowa, where they said that they were going to fold. Did you hear that?
I heard that, and that's why the Myth came out with this, because everybody thought it was the Myth.
Yeah, so I think that was where and maybe all of the teams did something like this, because this is the first team. I mean, this is the first week just completed, now week 2 of this new arena with the new league owners, no new management, new commissioner, everything's brand new. And the Iowa team said there was issues with people getting paid, bills not being paid, and whatnot. They came out publicly. Now, I think this is in poor taste. And they said, we're going to fold and shut down operations and not play the rest of the season. Well, what that did last week was, number one, their opponent said, well, wait a minute now. What are we going to do? And then later, that same day, the other teams who had this Iowa, I think it was Iowa, on their schedule says, what are we going to do during that week? So the whole league got together and said, I don't know what they said, but it was the next day they announced they're back in. Very, I don't want to say shady deal, but very, very unprofessional by the Iowa team. Now, granted, there's things going on in the league. I'm sure there's lots of things not getting done and things getting done wrong and errors and whatnot. This is, and it's basically run. A lot of executives here, even based in the Minneapolis area.
Well, that's what's happening with the Arizona hockey team.
Yes.
They were not paying hotel bills. They were changing numbers on bills and paying that amount.
Yeah, and they're, the leadership group here in Minneapolis for the Arena Football League that happens to be housed here is run not by business-backed people, business-minded individuals with a business background. They're doing the best they can, I believe. I'm not just backing them, but there is a lot of things going on. But the worst thing to do is to say, look, we're going to fold and shut up shop. All
After
these teams
1 week.
just got their helmets. They just got their jerseys and equipment. Their fan on-site online fan T-shirt sales and cap sales all just went online, and then to say they're going to fold. So that looked really bad on that one team. Good response here by the Myth, just to say, look, it had nothing to do with us, and we're good to go.
Yep. NASCAR's finish yesterday, which I watched, the closest race ever, 0.001 seconds. That's the photo finish right there.
Now, you're not talking Kentucky Derby. This is the NASCAR.
This is the cars. The Kentucky Derby was close, and NASCAR said, hold my beer.
But this is unbelievable. I mean, how?
Now, this was in Kansas. Here's the thing. First and second was 0.001 seconds. The difference between first and fourth, if that was first and second, that would have been the closest race ever at that racetrack.
Okay.
And that was between first and fourth. If the fourth place guy was second, that would have been the closest race ever. Here's second place was 0.001. The one guy originally thought he had won. They all started hooping and hollering. All of a sudden, the other guy's hooping and hollering. So there was a little wait for a while, but the closest possible finish, 0.001 seconds.
Now, Andy, here's a question from a non-NASCAR guy back in the day before they had the high-tech, high-definition photo finish. What if it was a tie that they could not determine who won? What happens then? Was it co-champions?
Then they throw down in the pits.
Or there never happened to be one.
I don't know. I don't know what they do.
Probably not. But now, boy, this really makes it clear to see. But
I mean, I maybe because I wanted the other guy to win, I didn't see it at first. And that's, I guess, a rip on the other guy. I just like the other guy better,
That's just unreal.
That's how close it was.
And the purse, the winnings and the standings and the money that come just by being second now, it's a big dramatic drop off.
You win, you're in the playoffs.
Yep.
Now, the guy who won this race had already won this year, so he's still already in. This other guy hadn't won yet, so he wasn't in yet. So that's a big deal. Yep. All right, Patrick Beverly, basketball player, refuses to answer questions from a reporter because she doesn't subscribe to his podcast. We got to remember that tactic, Dan.
Yes.
You don't subscribe to us when we talk to you. So, since he didn't answer her question because she's not on his podcast, Patrick Beverly has been banned from making any future appearances on ESPN.
Oh, my Lord.
The homework assignment. Can you find a better marketing strategy for his podcast than that? I'm going to follow his podcast just for that reason.
See? And how many people is going to pick up just because
ESPN, we'll show him. We won't put him on. Fine. You know how many subscribers he just got because of you? So you know what? I'm going to say right here, Dan, I think I speak for both of us. I'm not answering questions to ESPN until they follow our podcast.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, we are firm believers in that. Patrick Beverly, we support you. If they don't follow our podcast, we don't answer your questions. I think that's a fair.
It's very good.
That's good business in my idea.
Very interesting. Yes, business. It is true.
An injury report, one that we called back late March, early April, but it finally came true.
Yes.
Byron Buxton's hurt. We all saw this coming.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And the thing that I noticed once again, Andy, is that, this particular case wasn't anything that he did. He just came up gimpy on a stolen base attempt.
Yep.
Not playing the field. And they said over the last couple of years, we don't want him injured. So last year in particular, 2023, we don't want him injured, so we won't have him play center field. He'll just be the DH. Well, he got hit in the ribs once, he got hurt, and he got hurt running the bases. Never did set foot in center field, and it was hurt twice.
Yep.
Now hasn't gotten hurt while playing center field, but has gotten hurt now on the base paths
as a DH.
First time already running on the base path. So it's very interesting. And I don't know if this is serious or not. They put him on the 10-day.
They're still playing it by ear.
Okay, but I don't know what he really even has going on.
I just pray to God every night. One of my prayers to him is that the Twins had insurance on that big contract he signed years ago, that they're not just eating this, because they overpaid for him thinking he was going to be the second coming, and he's been nothing but injury prone since. That's why in sports, I don't think you should sign more than a 2-year deal. That's just me.
Yep. You never know. And you can assume all you want, but you never know what's going to happen the next day. So Buxton, what was I just going to say with this here? Oh, he took off for second base on the first one of the pitches in the sequence, and it was a foul ball, so he had to run back. The very next pitch he took off, it was fouled off again and had to come back. Third pitch, he was off to the races. They threw him out pretty easily. Somewhere in there, he got hurt, I think, that third time, but I don't think it was landing. I think it was either taking off or running. Now, this is what I still call a world-class athlete.
Yes.
I had knee issues. How does that happen?
He had knee issues where his injury was a couple years ago. That's what was
so it kind of
re-aggravated.
Did he aggravate something? Is that all that it was, really?
Yep.
And then following that, they looked and there was some inflammation, so they'll put him out for 10 days. But with Buxton, we know that could turn into 20 or 30 days real fast. And that's why they went out and got extra outfield.
Well, inflammation too, you never know what's going to happen with that. That's
very strange. And once again, he didn't injure it by hitting or coming in contact with the ball, a bat, another player, the base. He didn't gonna come into contact with anything. So it's just a strange injury once again. So we got Manuel Margot from the Dodgers picked him up, the younger guy that can play center field as a backup, and got rid of Michael A. Taylor because we didn't need him anymore.
Which was a mistake right there. Why we got rid of him?
Manuel is not doing well and is really Margot really drawing the ire of a lot of the Twins fans. Just cannot stand the guy. But he once again signed to a 2-year, multi-million-dollar deal. So I don't see him going anywhere. They're not going to be cutting him or trading him. Who's going to want him?
Speaking of Twins players, but they wish they never traded Louis Arise. Did you hear about his trade?
Yes, and I didn't know if it was coming up here or not, but he has been moved.
Yeah, I had the video on our social media. He gets traded to the Padres for a couple minor leaguers. As the trade happens, one of the players he was traded for gets a base hit, goes to second base. The manager comes out and says, "Whoa, stop the game. I'm pulling my runner from second base." And this guy's like, "What the hell?" Because he just got traded. Now you could say, let him finish the at bat. He pulls a Byron Buxton going to third. That ain't happening. You pull him as soon as you can,
So mid-game, he notified he was traded after getting a base hit and came off the field then and gathered his things and moved on.
Well, how would you feel all of a sudden they pull you out of nowhere in May? You're thinking like, oh my God, what's wrong with my dad or my mom or my wife or my kid? You're not thinking you're getting traded in May.
But sure enough, so he's going to go to the Padres, and he already played a game or two, started.
When the Marlins, you mean?
From the Marlins, he went to the Padres. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. That's where Raz went. The minor league went from the Padres organization, which was a San Antonio team. So where intern Abby's from. So.
Oh yes.
Now I like this one. Dale Murphy dominates baseball for 6 seasons, should be a Hall of Famer. Sandy Koufax dominates baseball for 6 seasons, should be a Hall of Famer. They both had a great 6-year run, and Murphy doesn't even get a sniff, and Koufax is there.
Yeah, Dale Murphy's one of those.
Because Murphy played for the Braves and they sucked for those 6 years, he still had 2 MVPs.
He was incredible.
He was so, that him and Dave Parker are 2 guys I can't figure out why they're not in yet.
Yep, I agree.
Here's some more fun stats from back in the day. During the 60s, Juan Marichal had more wins than any other pitcher with 191. Bob Feller was second with 167. During the same decade, he had more complete games than wins. He had 197 complete games, 191 wins. Never won the Cy Young. So
it all
that
goes
shows
to
you how tough
show.
pitching was in the 60s there,
Oh, my. Great
Look at
years,
that.
all those years to compile those numbers, but no one breakout year.
Yeah.
Or
Look
if
at
it
that
was a
leg
breakout
kick.
year, there was still someone better than him
Yeah.
winning the award.
He was second and more complete games than wins. So he took a
That
loss
is
for the team the whole game too.
That's unbelievable.
And look at that leg kick.
Yeah, you don't see that anymore.
No. Mr. Mamorn, Ron Wright played his one and only game in 2002. He recorded 3 at-bats. In those 3 at-bats, he struck out, grounded into a double play, grounded into a triple play. But you know what? Laugh all you will. He made the majors.
Yes, and it's true.
Yep. That's what I said. Oh, you're no good yet. Well, at least he made it, pal.
Yeah.
Jerry Brooks, the Mets, had 4 hits in his major league career. A single, a double, a triple, a home run.
Now that's a great trivia question.
That's a great career right there, too. Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
There it is. There's another one for the. Don't say cool yet. I got a better one for you. Team, the Trojans, a D2 team, hit for the home run cycle in the first inning. David McMillan hit a grand slam in the first. Haven Manigrum had a solo home run. Jody Parliament had a 3-run homer, and Albert Lawrence had a 2-run homer.
All in the first inning?
All in the first inning.
Score?
Does it matter after this?
Well, we already know that it's 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're double digits for sure, if not more.
They're up 10-0 at least after the first inning. At least.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. From WTF Stats.
Yes, that's
on
great.
The X.
I love it.
Little WNBA action here. Here we go. Get my horse here. WNBA ticket sales are up 93% compared to last season. Now, this is just not all the games Caitlin Clark's going to be at. The games between Minnesota and Chicago are selling out. The games between, Las Vegas has sold all their games. Dallas is selling out games. It's not just Caitlin Clark games. Has she helped that number? Yes. But games that don't involve her are still selling out. So there's more than just her driving this league thing going. Fans live stream the Sky Lynx game on X and gets nearly 1 million viewers. What happened? Here we go. The game was supposed to be on the WNBA League Pass, and it wasn't. So some fan, I'm sure between their friends talking, found out about this and starts streaming it. A fan, just Joe Blow fan or Jane Blow fan, starts streaming their X, gets nearly 1 million viewers. Famous people were clicking into her X to view it. Now, with that said, Brittany Griner had an issue with it, along with many others. It was the first time fans would have watched former WNBA or former NCAA rivals, Angel Reese and Camila Carso, on the court together. Well, the game wasn't broadcast. A fan at Target Center dug up an illegal way as a solution. But many were left heartbroken. Amongst them was Phoenix's WNBA champion Brittany Griner. Apparently, the sudden announcement of the WNBA app or the TV not broadcasting some of its preseason games, including Chicago versus Minnesota, was a shock to the basketball fans. Taking note of the issue, 9-time WNBA All-Star shared an Instagram story saying, "It's wild they don't have these games on League Pass, but they do what they wanted. In no world does it make sense to have these two young ladies game on the app." She, in turn, had shared a post of the high-level media sports. Right after the apologetic tweet by the WNBA, the sports news company posted, "The WNBA is wild embarrassing." Not to have Angel Reese games on League Pass makes no sense. And they go on for more stuff. But here's what the WNBA had to say. WNBA had no control over the Chicago Sky preseason game not being on TV. Bally Sports North of Minnesota previously scheduled a Major League Baseball game in the time slot for the Minnesota Lynx Chicago Sky preseason game. Now, remember, this was made up before the draft, before who's going where. These schedules are made up for baseball ahead of time.
Yep.
Bally Sports Indiana previously scheduled a preseason game for the Indiana Fever on their channel. So Indiana, Chicago, you couldn't pick it up there either. And they go ahead to explain how this happens. Dan, don't you remember the simple days when Channel 9 carried everything?
Yes.
You got two different Bally Sports 1 and Bally Sports 2 here. And they still couldn't find a way to get this game on somewhere. And if they did do it on the other Bally Sports network, who the hell even knows if they have that to watch it?
Yeah, it's just now. Keep in mind, though, these are all preseason games, and so
it's drawing this interest.
It's
and the Twins are doing well, and they're doing it.
But wow,
the Twins are doing good at this point in the middle of a 12-game winning streak, and they're all pissy they can't see a preseason game. That's the importance of this league right now. That's how popular it is. With all these other channels, you can't swallow your pride, Bally Sports, and go, you know what? Hey, Fox Sports North, you want it on Fox Sports 1 or 2? Hey, Channel 9, do you just want to play it on your Channel 9 Plus station? Why are we penalizing it? Everybody's got this. We paid the rights for this game, damn it, and we're not going to show it. I just don't get how
dilemma.
Everybody's they can all say, well, look, we showed the Lynx and the Twins. Well, not if they play the same night, you don't.
Interesting.
More sports news. Sports. Okay, here's the average value franchise of some of these teams. And this just kind of gets me thinking here. I didn't read into this more because I don't like to read. So I'm going to take some guesses here. Average franchises in the NFL, $5.1 billion. Basketball, $4 billion. Baseball, $2.6. NHL, $1.3 billion. Soccer, $678 million. My guess for basketball, now, guess. This is where I'm scratching my head. Take the Timberwolves, for example. I think part of that, because of the value is their ownership in Target Center, which gets rented out for concerts and truck pulls and this, that, the other thing. Baseball is basically baseball in that stadium, and that's it. That's my guess why basketball would be worth more like that, but maybe there's popularity to it that I'm seeing in some areas. I don't know. But football has a big stadium like baseball. The football draws in all that extra TV money, hence, and the jersey sales, hence the more value for their team. Because if you got a stadium like the Greenhouse here in Minnesota, US Bank Stadium, or Texas, or any of these dome stadiums that you can hold other events in and you own it, that helps too.
Now, is this is Major League Soccer, or is this?
That's the Major League Soccer, yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So
interesting stats. They're very interesting. Yeah. But yeah, I think the multi-purpose stadiums would help out those numbers.
Yeah.
In baseball, some of those, most of those are just baseball only, unless they're having an outdoor concert or something out there. They're not renting it out to big things. There might be high school games being played there, but you're not making big money.
The high school league ain't going to pay that much to use your stadium for those.
No. So that's a good meme right there.
There's your latest NHL Stanley Cup brackets right now. You got the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche, Vancouver and Edmonton. On the right side, as you look at the Florida Panthers and the Boston Bruins, and the Rangers and the Hurricanes. So there you go.
Elite Eight, down to the Elite Eight.
Yes.
Best of 7 again.
These 5 NHL teams have never played a game in June. Seattle Kraken, the Minnesota Wild, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Arizona Coyotes, or Utah, whatever they're going to be, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. A team that's one of the original 6 have never played in June. Now you may be saying, Andy, I call BS on that. And I say, I got BS for your BS. Toronto hasn't made the finals since the 60s. That's when they didn't have as many teams. Only 4 guys made the playoffs, and you were done in May. Since the league expanded these expanded playoffs, Toronto has not made it to the second round where they've been playing in June.
Yep.
So, or if they did make the second round, they were out of it before June 1st came around.
Yep, they have been there in the past, just never in the month, the calendar.
Never make it to June.
Wow.
So, And the Minnesota PWHL team has clinched a playoff spot.
So this is the women's pro hockey. Now this is their first
Professional Hockey League, yes.
Professional. Okay, good.
Yep.
I know we covered that a lot.
None of these teams had nicknames. You were just the Minnesota team, the Massachusetts or the Boston team, the Montreal team. They didn't put sponsors on there or names on there, which I kind of get, I guess. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And now for the
the Emmy award-winning soapbox.
Yes. I'm also up for a Tony and an Oscar. Minnesota is not a contention for WrestleMania 41 anymore. It's now going to Vegas.
Okay.
Okay, here's my soapbox on that. A few points on this. A, closed circuit to the City Council of Minneapolis. Because you suck, you've lost WrestleMania, which brings in billions of dollars. I do not remember in my 53 years on this planet Earth going around downtown Minneapolis where these arenas are, where I have not seen a construction sign up for something. Downtown Minneapolis, as far as I know, has always looked like crap. And you want to bring this in here, and now you're surprised it won't? Have you seen your crime numbers? Have you seen how people don't want to go to Minneapolis, how events there don't want to come anymore, how your attendances are dropping, other things, and you can't figure out why this doesn't want to come? The light at the end of this tunnel, if WrestleMania was here, WrestleMania 41, they've already started planning it. It'd be Charlotte Flair, Ric Flair's daughter, who's from Minnesota, against Prior Lake's own Tiffany Stratton. Tiffy time. WWE is really big on not having the hometown person win matches and big time pay-per-views. So with that said, it being in Vegas makes it look better for Tiffany to win that match. So you got to find the daylight there at the end of that tunnel.
Who are the final host cities?
They had it looking like Vegas right now.
It's in Vegas right now.
Vegas is everything right now.
Someone else also?
Nope, that was the two. The two was down to.
That was the two. Okay, so Minnesota eliminated. Okay, yeah, that would have been huge. Big money.
Vegas came out of nowhere with the two. So
Twitter accounts, pushing for that too by saying, "Well, if this ended up here 41, jackpot."
But that just shows you how crappy it's got to be in Minneapolis right now, where they don't want to come here.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
And don't tell me the weather either. They just had a big pay-per-view this winter in Detroit. They've had them in Cleveland. So don't give me the weather bit. That's football who wants to have all their fun outside in the winter. WrestleMania is going to do indoor events with signings and stuff like that. So they don't care what your weather is. It's the fact that our Minneapolis-St. Paul area or U.S. Bank Stadium would be held at the big greenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
That area of town is such a toilet, they don't want to come to it.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a big loss there because now it's going to be how many years before you can even get back into contention to have it hosting again.
Right. And like I said, with Tiffy not being involved in it here in a big time, that's kind of good. That means she'll win. But that's all I got, man. That's me.
That's good stuff. So we've got we talked about the Myth and the Arena Football League. They're 2 weeks in. They play a 10-week regular season. All the teams are done with playing 2 games. The UFL, same thing, just completed week 6, Andy. So
I heard some teams already have the playoffs locked up, they said.
There are teams that are already clinching. Some teams are already out of it, mathematically eliminated. There's only 4 weeks left to go. 8 teams in the league, 4 make it. So now it's going to come down to crunch time with 4 games left. And so that all ends up, wraps up here beginning of June June or July, I think is the. Yeah. So that'll go fast. So the 2 footballs now are overlapping. NFL just had the draft, nothing more than coming up until they have their off-season training, mini camps, and then training camps begin in August to late July. So that will be interesting. So the Wolves are playing, and NBA is down to 8 teams as well, just like the NHL, the Elite 8. They're all playing best of 7. Wolves, we're hoping to go to Denver and win 1 game, is what I've heard from everyone. Says if we can go on the road and steal a game there, we could come back and maybe win 2 games and put it on even and take the advantage. They won game 1 by 8 or 9 points, and now they're playing tonight for game 2 down in Denver. Then they come back and play 2 at Target Center. Now they're ripping up that artificial turf, of course, from the football game for the series this week. 2 games there will be very interesting.
And about the Timberwolves, real quick, Dr. Green, or Goose, as some of us may know him as, Anthony Edwards, doing very well for the Timberwolves.
It's good stuff, because the matchup they're playing right now, to the fellow non-NBA fans like myself who don't follow it that much, this matchup is the best, probably the best one, and whoever wins this may have an easier road the rest of the game, including the finals and the NBA finals.
Yep, the conference finals. So this, if you get through finals,
it's probably going to be against Oklahoma City, but both teams had pretty good success against them. And then if the Celtics go on, and they've had some big injuries and some tough luck, they have not been playing well, that's more likely who you're going to face in the East. And that also is very winnable or very doable, or at least can happen. It's not a long shot. But this 7-game series right here is against last year's NBA reigning champions, the Nuggets.
Coach is out with knee surgery.
And the coach
had the knee injury.
Coach is listed in the injury report. The head coach for the Timberwolves taking a hit there once again, and he needed some surgery. So that's very interesting. And then I got to see if there's anything else left. Town ball baseball, very big weekend with great weather here in Minnesota.
Yes.
A lot of games of the previous week was either rained out, or they had cold weather or wind or the soggy fields. Now this last week, a lot of the amateur town teams got up and running again, back on schedule with really good weather. Everything got a chance to dry out. I was able to take in a game myself. Perfect weather on Sunday. So nice. And then the last thing is the Minnesota Twins finish up they had their 12-game winning streak, which goes back to 1991 to have a streak that long, and then they lost the next day after they had that, and so which is fine. They had some other pitchers come in there. Things didn't go their way. They bumbled the ball around. It's the good thing is to get a streak like that kind of behind you and done with, so you can start over, because the pressure then really starts mounting. But this series, I like this series against Seattle. Andy, you said the Mariners the last couple of years have been good. They're good again this year. It's former Twin Jorge Polanco, former catcher Mitch Garver with the team in town here to face the Twins in a 4-game series, a night game.
Seattle here, or are they there? I can't remember.
It's here. It's at Target Field, and then a day game on Thursday. So the nice thing is we're facing Seattle's top 4 pitchers in these 4 games. And they're all doing well, and it should be very interesting. They have the same number of wins as a team, and for the arguments to say, look, the Twins pulled off that winning streak against the White Sox and some of these other things by luck. The Angels weren't that good. It was pretty easy. This should be a good test. Should be a good test here.
Mets. My Mets plug here for a while. They are not doing well. They just got swept by 3 by Tampa Bay Rays. Pete Alonso's not doing well. J.D. Martinez is not doing well. But they did call up pitcher Christian Scott from the Syracuse Mets. And he did well. He did not get the decision, but he pitched well. So things are looking good on the upswing for us. Us as the Mets. They lost 3 tough ones to Tampa, but they held them tight. Like I said, I didn't expect the Mets to be more than 3 games over 500. They're at 500 now. They are not in the playoffs as of today. Neither are the Twins. But then again, it's May 6th.
It's May 6th, and the Chicago White Sox, who couldn't do anything right the first part of the season, winning very few, losing all their games, they just ran off a streak against, I think, the Rays. They swept them.
Yeah,
and then the Rays went back and swept the Mets.
The Oakland A's are doing well. They've won 3 series in a row after starting season 1-6 with Cleveland. So,
yeah, once again, if you win the series, that's the goal. You don't need to sweep all these series. If you can win 2 or 3, 3 or 4, 2 or 4, you're going to do fine, and you're going to get your losses in. That's the way the baseball world works. But once again, if you can hang around 500 for most of the season, you're going to be in the mix for things. But then again, I never know the intangibles, the injuries, things like that coming up.
Trivia answer.
But that's all I've got. The answer for the trivia question. The question is 1915 on this day. Babe Ruth did something. The only hint that we gave is that he was with the Red Sox. Remember, he went on. Yeah. Everyone knows many years, illustrious years as a hitter with the Yankees.
I'm going to say he pitched both ends of a doubleheader.
Well, you're half right. Part of the question is he pitched a complete game. He was with the Red Sox. He was a pitcher, a starting pitcher. That game went 12 innings.
Oh, Jesus.
Complete game for Babe Ruth on this day in 1915. Pitching for the Red Sox, he got the loss in the complete game against the Yankees on this day in 1915. But the other thing is that he hit his first home run. His first career home run in the majors was hit on this day. So his name, his nickname, I think his name was still just George Ruth at this point. I don't think it was Babe yet until later, but it could have been. I know he hit home runs in the minors, and I think that's when the nickname stuck. So he may have been known as the Babe already then, but he was a real good pitcher.
George Herman Ruth. Very good. All right.
That's it. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.
See ya.